Detective Sergeant Mike Allen of the West Memphis Police Department. Today's date is June the 9th, 1993. Time is now 4:10 p.m. I'm presently in the Dice City Hall in Dice, Arkansas, talking to a G.W. Charles Stone, known to everybody here as Charles Stone. Your address was P.O. Box 297 here in Dice.
Yeah.
And you live
112 Circle Drive.
Where's 112 Circle Drive in relations to the theater?
Next door, sir.
It's next door. Okay. If you would, Mr. Stone, I just want to take it for this conversation because of the lengthy description of everything that you explained in the car. If you would just kind of start out from the beginning, and we're talking about this, the Jesse Miss Kelly, and I know as you've probably seen in the newspaper or whatever, he supposedly, by the newspapers, all I know at this time, was supposedly been in Dice on May the 5th, which would have been a Wednesday night. Can you explain to me, I've got a copy of this contract drawn up. Just kind of explain to me the circumstances, what you know about this, how you first heard about this. Did you read this in the newspaper or
Well, I was watching news. I'm retired, and I watch the news every evening, and I've seen about the 3 young boys that had been lost that evening, and then I heard the next day that they had found them. And getting back to the statement, I've got a theater building here in Dice, and occasionally it's got a wrestling ring set up in it. I bought it for a country music show, but my long drive and everything prevented me from having that, and so I wound up talked into putting a wrestling ring in there and starting some wrestling, and we had a few matches in there. But getting back to the story, there was a James boy that used to come up here with his dad, and they would go in there and wrestle. His dad was a past wrestler, and he'd had to quit, I understand, due to health conditions, and the boy came up here under his dad's supervision and started. I started letting him go in there and train for wrestling.
Okay. And I've got a photograph here of a person that's known as Jesse Miss Kelly, and this is the person that, as you probably know, has been charged in West Memphis with the triple murder. Now, have you ever seen this person before?
Yes, I've seen him.
Now, this person you're referring to, his daddy used to wrestle. Is this the person you're talking to?
No, this is not. No,
Okay.
this is not. No, the boy that used to come with his dad is the one that continues to come up here. His dad has dropped out, and so I let people go in there time and time again, different wrestlers, and work out. And the boy came back a few weeks ago, and in fact he's come back several times, but he'd drive from Memphis down here, West Memphis, and want to go in there. One time I remember Bill Alexander had made a speech in there, and we let the ropes down, and he didn't have no help to put the ropes up. Then another time, the Mississippi County Sheriff, they had a fish fry in there. We let the ropes down again, and he had came up about 3 times, the James boy, to work out in there. And the last time he came up, it was still, like I said, well, I hadn't put the ropes down, and he wanted to go in there and practice, and I told him I was going to sell the ring, so he wanted to buy the ring, and I said, well, it's for sale, you can buy it. So he came up later with the purchase price was $600 for the ring. He came up later, and I cannot get my date straight on this, but him and another guy came up, and the other guy is the one that gave me the $300, guy of which this boy was supposed to train. In other words, he was charging him to train him, and he was going to give $300 to him, but he passed it on to me. He just said, "Well, give it to Charlie there," which he done. And in the meantime, I had told him before this, now if they wanted to go ahead and continue to practice in there until he could raise the other $300. And I said, I don't see any problem with that. If you guys will pay for your electricity, and you won't smoke in there, and also you're going to have to sign an agreement that I won't be responsible for any accidents in there. So they agreed to that. So then I drawed this contract up for him to sign and for people that came in there to sign that was going to get in the ring.
You understand? You talking about this right here?
Yes, I am. That is the contract, a copy of it. There. So one night it was, they had been up there, they came back up, I believe, and worked on the ring. I don't remember. I've been up here so many times. And, but one night they showed up, and I took the contract the first night. I took the contract out on the front porch, and some of them signed it. The next time they showed up, I went over in the building, and I passed it around, and they signed it. The people it was to get in the ring signed the contract. So without that, that is the night that they paid me the $300, And apparently that was on the field, the night of the field. It seems to me that they were up here around 7 o'clock, and the way that I know that, I made a deposit, cash deposit the next day of, I held some money out because I was working on my grandson's car and was wanting to get a windshield and have it installed, and as best I can remember, that is why that I held this money out. I'm a creature of habit. I do all my money, all my transactions, 95% of it by check, because my money from the government, I'm retired from the government as a aircraft technician. I draw 2 government checks, and they go to direct deposit. So they go into my checking account, and I write checks. Since I'm a businessman, I write checks so that I can have my receipt. Well, this was a cash payment. My bank statements show that I went to the bank 6 and deposited $200, I believe, and $32. And the reason I went immediately the next day is because my grandchildren is always over and there's always kids in the house. I didn't want to have money just laying around. And so my statement shows that I did make a cash deposit on the 6th of June, or of May, rather.
Okay. Now, when you were talking about, you said something about, now, when he first came up and you told him you was going to have to draw up a contract, did he give you the $300 that night or the night that you brought the contract back?
He did not give me the money then until after I had drawn the contract up and had went over there. And that night, I definitely remember passing it around. We sat, and they were signing it, and we sat down on some side benches there, and they paid me that night.
Okay. Now, the night they paid you, you had said something about someone had signed it, and then a group came and all of them signed it. That night, they were all in there. The night that this was signed, all of them were in there. Mm-hmm. All of them that signed it were in the theater. Okay. But as far as I took it when you first were talking that you had done this contract up and
Well,
and
see,
a couple of the boys-
they were. I did do the contract up, and some of them signed it on. I came out of the house, and some of them signed it on my front porch. But then, as I remember, I went on over there. See, there were some of them waiting over in front of the theater, and I went on over there and opened it up. Yeah, I believe I'm positive it was, because I don't remember them signing the contract but one time. I honestly don't, you know.
This is the contract that you've got in this here that I've got is
Just
a
a
copy of what you've got.
Absolutely, it's just a handwritten contract, because we don't, you know, I can't type, I don't type.
Do you remember what kind of vehicles they would have been in?
They were in I know they were in a blue pickup truck, a small truck, and that there were 2 cars of them.
You know what other kind of car, color-wise?
No,
or
I
anything?
don't. I can't. I know the blue pickup truck. Let's see. There was a Chevette. Don't remember what kind of Chevette, I mean, what color. But the boy was discussing with me about a Chevette being cheap on gas and so on and so forth, and I told him that I had a Chevette, and in fact I still got one, and I do remember that.
Was there a woman with the group?
They were 2. Oh, there has been some women in there, young girls. One of them was this James boy's girlfriend.
James, when you're talking about James, do you know his person or is that his
I've got
person?
his name over at the house. I've got his phone number and everything written down. But I can't tell you his first name. I can't.
Now, is James' name that you know of on this contract here?
I'll have to look. I don't know if he signed it or not. I don't know. His name is not on here. Not the man that you know, supposedly was buying the ring. The other man paid, gave him the money for it, but the James was the one that I made the deal with. And that seems strange, because you would think that I would pass it to him first. I think I did pass it to him, and he just stood and passed it around. I don't know how it happened. Don't have no idea.
Now, the night that this was signed by everybody is the night that they gave you the money. Is that correct?
Yes, some of the signatures are there, and I'm almost positive that all of the signing was done that night.
Okay. Do you know what time of night that this here was signed?
It seems to me they got here about 7 o'clock that evening. It seems to me that they did. I don't wear a watch. I'm retired. Dates don't mean much to me, and time doesn't mean much to me. Even though I still work for myself, I just do it at my leisure. I don't have a time clock on like that for
When was the first time that you heard about the TV or newspaper report that the possibility of the Miss Kelly boy being at Dice the evening?
It was the day that it was announced on television, which was about last Thursday or Friday or somewhere in there. I watch the evening news all the time, Memphis news. I watch Dan Rather, and then I switch over to Tom Brokaw.
Now,
About the day that it, I remember calling Maxie Austin over the station, said turn the TV on. They got someone charged with the murders, and he remembers that because I was discussing that today.
when was the first time that this Jesse Miss Kelly name was brought to your attention, that he was one of the persons that was coming up here with these these people that were wrestling in the theater.
Okay, that had to be this past Sunday night, which was, what is the date on Sunday night?
Sunday night would have been today's the night, and today's Wednesday, 6th. 6th of June.
I'll tell you how that all came about. The boy hadn't paid me the money for the ring yet, and one of my grandchildren said the wrestlers are over there, came to the house, so I went over there, and I went over there and talked to him, and this James boy says, we had discussed this before. I mean, just, like that tragedy that happened down there and such. But anyhow, he said, I've got something to show you. And he goes out to his truck, and they're in a new truck, a new truck this time. And he brings this picture in here. And he said, and he had several pictures, and he took that out, and he says, do you recognize this guy? Or do you know who this is? And I said, well, the face is familiar, but I said, is that somebody I'm supposed to know, or is that an ex-wrestler, or someone that used to wrestle here, or something like that? And he said, no. I said, that's Miss Kelly. Well, that name didn't even ring a bell at that time. And I said, who? And he said, Miss Kelly. So that's the boy that they got charged for this triple murder down here. And I said, you kidding me? And he said, yeah. I said, that's right. And he showed me a picture of Miss Kelly standing right up in my ring. And he tells me in the same breath, that is the night that this was supposed to have happened. That the kids disappeared. He told me that this is the evening, said we were up here at 7 o'clock. He says, I don't believe he done it, because how could he have got from there and got up here at 7 o'clock? And I said, well, I don't know, But I said, you need to report it or something, And I said, did he say anything or do anything, or that, was he uptight or anything that night? And he said, no. I said, he was just clowning around. We was just all having a good time. We was up here. And said he brought his mask with him, wrestlers wear a mask. And said he brought his mask up here, and said they took his mask when they searched his apartment, I think, he said. And I said, well, that's really strange, ain't it? Then I got to thinking, and I did not know that I had his signature on that until today. And I thought, well, see, me and Maxie over station got into this conversation, and I said, well, I can't disprove or prove that he was there on that day. And he said, well, I only saw him there one time, and that was during a weekend or something to that effect. And I said, well, Maxie, there's several times that several people has been in that theater building. And I said, I went over and talked to him and told him that he was going to have to stop that. This was getting out of hand. And so that's the way that all came about. And he showed me the picture, and it was definitely the boy standing up in the ring, because I know my own theater building. And he swears to me that was the night that the contract was signed, and he was there. So as far as there's no date on this contract. No, there's not. I'm sorry, but it's not.
There's not a date on this contract. As far as what you know about this, and you're quite sure, what you said to me, you're quite sure that the $300 was given at the time that this contract was passed around. Is that correct?
I'd have to say that it was, because I made the bank deposit on the stick.
Even though I helped out, I think it was $62 to buy these parts for my grandson's car. Now, I think that's what I did for it. I have to go through my check and see.
I hadn't had time to do that, and see if I wrote checks for that amount.
And my memory, what I held the money out for, if it's not that, I don't remember.
I'll try to remember, but I don't.
deposits made in the month of May similar to your deposit that you're trying to refer to as the night of the 5th?
I think there were several deposits made, but if I'm not mistaken, they were all checks, and I was paid in cash over there that night. The guy gave me three $100 bills. And I don't know that man's name. I don't know if he's on this contract, if he signed the contract. With a bunch of people, you know, where you just pass it around and you get whatever you can. And it definitely got out of hand because I wanted everybody to sign that got up in the ring, you know.
How old is your grandson?
My grandson is 17.
Now, as far as this right here goes, the night that you're talking about in reference to the night that you drew up this contract from a conversation you'd had with him prior to the night that you brought this down for everybody to sign. Is that right?
When he first came up and was talking about buying, he first came and was talking about buying the ring. And he may have came twice before he actually bought the ring.
Okay.
And it seems to me that they went in there and I know the ropes was up the night the contract was signed. Okay. But it seems to me that they came up and I let them have the key and they went over and strung the ropes up and then they started to coming back.
Okay. Now the night that you gave the notebook to whoever to pass around, did he pass it around a guy by the name of James?
I believe I handed it to James. I handed it to someone in the crowd, and I think I handed it to him.
Is James the one that drives the blue truck that you're referring to?
Oh, I can't remember that. I would, if he has a vehicle, I know the guy that gave me the money that put up the $300 was the guy that told me he had the Chevette. I do know that.
Other than his name being on this here, can you say that this person in this picture here that I have that has Miss Kelly on the front was there the night that this was signed?
Yeah, he had to be there the night that was signed.
What do you mean he would have had to have been there?
Because the signature is on it.
Well, I mean, did you actually, what I'm trying to
you're
get
saying
at.
by identification?
Yeah,
Sir, there was a lot of people in there. It had got out of hand. I have tried to remember that boy, and I do remember vaguely. I remember him being in there, and I think that he was standing there by me, and I remember how he looked strange. Just little deal up here.
Mm-hmm. You remember as far as height or weight of him, do you remember anything about that?
Oh, I'd say somewhere around 130 pounds.
Okay.
Or about 140. Probably somewhere between 5 and 6 feet. Maybe 5'4" or 6. When you're in the crowd, actually, the boy is just facing the crowd to me, you know.
Okay.
Right. work. He gets off. I believe it.
I guess he goes to work at 8. He not, are they still in there?
Mm-hmm.
I think he gets off at 5. You can ask him.
What's his name?
Charles Grant.
Charles what?
Grant.
That's Guerrant. Guerrant.
Okay. Back to this evening that now $300. Have they ever paid you the other $300?
They have not paid the other $300. The boy told me that he was expecting some income tax in, and he would pay me when his taxes came in. I approached him another time later on about that, and he said, well, I had to send that for something else. Yeah, I got it in, but I had to send it for something else. He says, I've got some money coming in, and he said, I will pay you for it. And the night that he gave me the picture, I told him that they had to have the ring out there before the 3rd, because Mr. Austin was playing the country music show in there. I gave him permission to use the building. And he told me, I said, when will you be back up here? And he says, well, I hope that when I come back, I have you the money, you know. That I hope I don't have to come back until I get the money. And so he did show me the picture, you know. He showed me the picture of the boy in the ring, standing in the ring.
Has anybody else other than this, maybe said James come up this past Sunday, is that correct?
He was up here, I believe, Sunday night. That's when he showed me the picture.
Okay.
See, I wasn't aware at the time that the boy had been over there. This is all here since Sunday night. I've had to put all of this together in my mind.
Okay.
Did I actually see this boy over there? And I remember, I'm just almost positive that he was in the crowd and that night. So you know, when you don't, I just want this to come out the way it's supposed to.
Yes, I understand.
Like I say, whoever is guilty of this, you know, it's a terrible thing. And
Now, as far as what you're sure of at this point, what you're telling me is that the contract and the money was done up, was actually signed and done up in the same evening.
no.
I mean,
The contract was waiting.
Yes, sir, I
made the
understand that
contract
part.
up, but the signing was done.
What I'm trying to get at is this contract was signed and the money was given to you on the same evening that, and you're saying around probably 7.
Yes.
Okay.
Immediately when I went over there, because I was going to get my money, and I don't really particularly care for wrestling, and I'm bored with it, and I used to promote it years ago, just to get a son of mine to college.
Okay. Now, but the $300 was, you're quite sure in your mind that the $300 was given the same time that they were asked to sign this waiver?
It seems to me that it was, you know.
I mean, are you 100% sure?
I can't be 100% sure of any of this, because I didn't keep no notes, I didn't keep no dates, but I do know that the money was given to me the night this contract was signed. I do know that. But it's to say, you get into a thing there that you want to be damn sure that you're telling the truth about everything as you know it.
Okay. Now, as far as what you can remember from the month of May in your banking records, are you 100% sure that you deposited that particular amount from going back from your bank statements? Is there on that particular date, did they do not? I mean, what I'm trying to get at is sometimes banks in the evening or whatever, sometimes they date it to the next day or whatever. That's what I'm trying to get at. Whether or not.
Sir, I fill out my own bank statements in the back of my check.
Okay.
Okay, and date them.
Yes, sir.
And I didn't know that until this evening that I had made that deposit on the 6th. I fill out my own, and the lady, I'm crippled, you know, to some extent, and I always go to the drive-in window. So I go up there. I always put my money in my checkbook, pass it into the drawer, and they all know me over there, and they take the money out and initial the stub in the back of the checkbook. And on that, in May, I made several deposits. But if I'm not mistaken, I mean, my books are open. I can show you any my bank statement or whatever. But I do have a deposit on the 6th of May of $232. I'm almost positive that's what it was. I didn't write it down. But I do remember holding out money to get this windshield, it seems, for my grandson's car. I paid the windshield I gave $45 for. I paid $25 to put it in, but we had the windshield sometime. That may or may not have been why I held out the money. I can't say, but for some reason or another, it's all confusing to me. I held out that amount of money for some reason or another. For whatever, maybe I can remember in the meantime and really put my finger on it. But at this time, I'm just assuming that's what it was for.
As far as you know, the only cash deposits you made during the month of May would have been on the 6th. Is that right?
As I see it, but like I say, we can go through my statements, and you're welcome to do that. I remember a $600 deposit. I remember a $300 deposit, but those were checks, and I did get cash for that. I sure did. And it's not reportable because that doesn't matter to me. But that was something I bought and sold, you know, for less money than I gave for it.
And the best of your knowledge, there wouldn't be any reason that you would have waited. It would have been the very next day, what you're saying, as far as money-wise, you're positive that you would have deposited the money the following day and not a day or two later, or 2 days later, or anything like that?
Yeah, cash I would have, because I don't like cash around my house, because I've had some stuff lifted, not as far as I know from my grandchildren, but they have friends and they bring friends in. At one time I got a government check stole right out of the house, and it took a while to find out who done that. None was ever done about it, but that did happen, and I'm very cautious about keeping money around, because I've got some teenage grandsons, and they're subject to bring people in my house unannounced when I'm there, or maybe when I'm not there, and I've tried to put a stop to it. So far I haven't been successful with it.
Now listen, James, has there anybody else since Sunday contacted you wanted to know anything about this, or other than us today? Is James the only person, other than maybe just local?
Yes, he called a while ago before I talked to you. James did, and told me that he said he was going to try to come up here tonight and hoped he could bring the money, you know.
Okay. But I mean, other than James, as far as any parents of his or anything
no one
like that?
No, in fact, I've talked to very few people. It's just, you know, this thing is, a lot of people have had a lot of things to say about it, and it's been on people's minds. And over to the store, I go over there once a day and hang out over there. It's my place, so I just got it leased to Mr. Austin. And so, you know, people just talk. That's the only thing that I've heard, and I've read in the paper. I've kept up with the paper, and the paper is all contradictory. Everything I read's different, you know. It seems to me. So I don't know, and I just have to tell it like I know it, like I know it. And that I don't know, you know, there's no point in me. Like I say if people are guilty, I wouldn't lift my finger to help them in a crime like that. That means nothing to me. But I sure wouldn't want to testify against, and get someone in trouble that's not in trouble, I mean, obviously this boy's in trouble, but so be it,
I'm going to complete this interview. The time is now 4:45 p.m. Today's date, June the 9th, 1993.